Welcome to another edition of the Professor Joy podcast. My name is Gary Metzger. I'm a professor at California State University, Long Beach. We're joined by Stephanie.
Hello.
And Dennis.
Hello.
And is it Jim? Who's
John. John.
John.
John Klein.
John Klein. Hello, John.
Hi, how are you?
Good. And of course, Professor Joy. For those of you who are only joining us for the first time, you should know that Professor Joy is at the helm of JoyScore. He is a visionary, an expert in the field of positive psychology and workplace well-being. He brings a wealth of knowledge and a passion for cultivating environments where individuals can flourish both personally and professionally. His groundbreaking insights have shaped JoyScore into a beacon of positivity in the corporate landscape. Professor Joy, how are you today?
Beautiful. I am feeling very flattered with your introduction.
Well, you shouldn't, because
I think you kind of have been very kind, but...
Well, it is all about kindness and compassion.
Absolutely. But I appreciate your introduction.
Well, thank you
so much.
Thank you. Professor Joy, as I was driving here today, a song came on the radio, and it was a song from a very famous album. And the name of the song was "I Get By with a Little Help from My Friends."
Oh, I think I know that.
I think you do. Yes, it's by a very unknown group of musicians. I think they were called the Beatles.
I think so.
So, but that brings me to a topic today, and especially everybody at the time of this taping for YouTube and LinkedIn. It's the holiday season. And it's also a season when a lot of people can feel lonely.
Yes.
And not have a little help from their friends. A couple years ago, we didn't see friends like we used to. We missed our colleagues from work because we were all working at a distance. Even your favorite barista at Aroma de Roma, you probably didn't even see back at the time.
Right.
You were lonely, Stephanie. Dennis, you were lonely. I was lonely. We were all lonely.
When? I'm never lonely.
You're never lonely. Well, you're the outlier then. All right. And here's what neuroscientists are thinking that happened in your brain when you get lonely. The human brain evolves to seek safety in numbers. It registers loneliness as a threat. And when that happens, your centers that monitor for danger go into overdrive.
Oh.
And it triggers a release of fight or flight, which we're familiar with. And it stresses your hormones. Your heart rate rises, your blood pressure and blood sugar level increases. Your body produces extra inflammatory cells to repair tissue damage and prevent infection. And fewer antibodies to fight viruses.
So that goes into a negative effect.
It goes into a negative.
Wow.
Exactly right. And just to define loneliness, in case you don't know what it is, mental health professionals say that it is a gap between the level of connectedness that you want and what you have. It's not the same as social isolation, because that's codified in the social sciences as a measure of a person's contacts. Loneliness is a subjective feeling. People can have a lot of contact and still be lonely, or be perfectly content to be by themselves. And even before the pandemic, Professor Joy, the United States Surgeon General said that the country was experiencing an epidemic of loneliness, driven by the accelerated pace of life and the spread of technology into all of our social interactions. And that's something that we have talked about a lot,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to younger populations and their overuse of social media. And the result is a public health crisis on the scale of an opioid epidemic or obesity. And we've talked about obesity as being one of the main problems that we have in America, along with depression. In a 2018 study by the Kaiser Family Foundation, 1 in 5 Americans said they always or often felt lonely or socially isolated. Loneliness, Dr. Murthy said, Vivek Murthy, said, has real consequences to our health and our well being. And I think that the use of JoyScore really can help people get past that loneliness stage. And I wonder if you might discuss that for a little bit.
It's so interesting that you bring this topic up, and the way you sort of delineated it is interesting, because when we were hit with pandemic, Mrinali and Dikshya, scientists in the area of bioscience and so on, I asked them, I said, can you please look at the relationship between joy and immunity? Because what we learned when it came out, that the only thing which can fight it is strong immunity in your body, because it was killing all the weak people first, And we found that joy brought better immunity to your body. So it's like a directly proportional outcome. So meaning, if your joy score goes up, your immunity goes up, and you can fight COVID better. Now, in concept, joy also has a way of helping people with depression, anxiety, and obesity. Now, self-esteem is something that helps us in getting through a day in a good way and not feeling down. And sometimes we are not able to approach friends because our self-esteem is low. So meaning that every aspect of our life gets affected by low joy score.
Including interacting with people.
Absolutely, because when you are feeling good and joyful, you like to interact with people. You say, hi, Gary, and if you're not feeling good, it's a, I don't know if I to anybody.
Right. and that also leads you to be lonely, to isolate, to stay at home. You don't want to interact
absolutely. In fact,
with other people.
There has been some connection between loneliness and obesity. In fact, all these things connect with that, meaning people who have low self-esteem, depressed, have anxiety, all those things cause obesity, because what you do is binge eat. You think eating is helping you. All it's doing is sedating your body, puts you in a coma. So you can't feel anything. It's like overdosing on anything. In fact, overdose on food is as bad as overdosing on opioids and alcohol or marijuana or whatever.
Right.
It's the same, Your blood sugar goes up and you go in a coma.
Yeah. So here's something interesting, Professor Joy. So in lab experiments, lonely people who were exposed to a cold virus were more likely to develop symptoms than people who were not lonely.
Absolutely.
Not only that, you ready for this? A meta-analysis by a researcher at Brigham Young University compared the risk effects of loneliness, isolation, and weak social networks to smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
Oh my God. Interesting. I mean, I find this comparison very interesting.
So the researcher Julianne Holt Lundstedt said the general public recognizes how loneliness might influence our levels of distress, our emotional or mental health, but we probably don't recognize the robust evidence of the effects on our physical health.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. In fact, it's really very difficult to say this part of our body, this part of our mental health or physical health, we are one piece altogether. Every aspect of it influences every other aspect of it. Your mental wellness influences your health. Your health influences your chances of being able to achieve what you want to achieve in life. So it's all together. In fact, what I was saying about the new title of our book to uh, the aspiration for achieving what we want to achieve in life is so profound, which is self-fulfillment. Everybody who lives, breathes, and walks on this planet wants self-fulfillment. Now, other day I was telling you that there should be a word, freedom, in context.
Right.
So I said, let the freedom not be in the title or the introduction of the book, but it be in the body of the book, where I believe that the world has to learn that democracy and freedom is very important. And I'm going to be basically killed for saying this. Countries like Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, wherever there is oppression and lack of freedom, even the whole Middle East. I mean, Middle East deprives freedom to women. They have to wear scarf and they can't drive, and that's like, my God, I mean, that's like 100-year-old thinking.
Right.
In this day and age, to differentiate between man and a woman is so ridiculous. In fact, I find women to be more successful intellectually than men. Would you agree?
I would agree. Yes.
So that's my point.
Yeah.
Why are we depriving them of the opportunities in the world? In Iran, women are considered second-class citizens. The whole Middle East is like that. The whole Middle East population thinks of women as second-class citizens. Why? No reason.
No.
Anyway, I'm getting a little excited.
So, Professor Joy, here's something else to think about. And this is something that we've talked about in previous podcasts. Mm-hmm. And that is JoyScore's relationship with other businesses and workplace issues that some companies may have. According to AARP, social isolation and loneliness are associated with an additional $7 billion in Medicare spending and costs employers more than $154 billion annually in stress-related absenteeism, plus more in job turnover. And I know we've talked about that with one particular industry that had a lot of turnover in its business and everything. Yeah, and this is a study done by AARP and Cigna. the insurance giant and everything.
John, you're hearing that?
Yes.
Cigna is there, he mentioned. So here is the thing. John and I have been talking about this for the last few days, and we kind of thinking who our target should be. So we think there are companies out there who are third-party benefit management companies for employees. And they actually manage everything: health insurance, benefits, turnover, wellness of all the employees, and stuff like that. So, what you talked about, $150 billion cost. Okay.
Yep.
So, what is the most valuable asset a company has?
Its employees.
Absolutely. That's where they invest the most money in. And even just in a very simple way, I think a good management plan to help employees improve their joy score, because now we have found relevance between joy score, credit score, health, mental wellness, success, self fulfillment. So, joy score is like one pill which solves every problem. There was, I think I mentioned this, it's kind of a humorous thing. This guy got caught giving his patients sugar pills. No matter what their problem was, he just pulled out a bottle from his thing and said, take one a day. And they caught him. I said, hey, all you have is sugar pills in your cabinet. And that's what you're giving people. He said, yeah, but before you bother me, ask my patients. See what percentage of it are getting better the sugar pill.
Right.
You know, so it's the mindset. Now, what does now you're a professor, okay?
Okay.
You know how students most likely the only thing they have argued with you about is their grades.
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly.
Okay. Me too. So you know what? I developed a system where I let them grade themselves, because I have this concept of threefold in front of them, and they see their grade every week. They know what they're going to get.
Right.
And they have a way of improving it or destroying it, whatever they want to do with it. So the thing is that JoyScore is a single aspect in their life which motivates them to improve their score. Because anytime they get a grade, they want a better grade, right?
Right.
So anytime they find out what their joy score is, guess what they want? They want to know how to improve it. Now, if they improve their joy score, every aspect of their life is going to improve. Their performance at job, their health, their mental wellness, you name it, obesity, anything related to their life is going to improve by improving joy score. Single thing they have to focus on. And this is what I'm seeing that employers and health insurance companies would love our product, because it's a wellness product.
Right.
At the end of the day, JoyScore is a wellness product. That's what I said in the book title is JoyScore Wellness Success. And that is how you achieve fulfillment.
I mean, there is a direct correlation
Absolutely.
between the two.
So you give it to any health plan members, any employer group, they would shoot the chart out, because all they have to focus on what is my joy score. You see, if it's improving, in fact, this is how I brought score into it, because the first book I wrote was this. You see joy on top? It said joy in health and happiness.
Right.
So this guy who wrote a book on game of work, he talks about that keeping score is breakfast for champions. I say, I agree with that.
Right.
Because that's what I've dealt all my life, giving grades to my students, and that's their score. So if I, and by the way, here are the two books. Here is the other one. You've seen this?
Oh, yes.
Barry Edwards,
Betty Edwards. Yep.
Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain. You know, I have read a lot of books. I've never been as impressed as this book. And I'll tell you why. Because it deals with your mental capacity, creativity, and intuition based on which side of the brain you activate. Actually, before I read this book, I didn't even understand or knew that there's a right side of the brain and left side of the brain. I did not know that. When I read her book, is clearly right side of the brain is responsible for creativity and intuition. Left side is analytical. And if you can somehow bring the two together in terms of strength, in fact, I don't know. I mean, you know that every seventh year you have a sabbatical year. You can take a sabbatical, apply for it, and if it's approved, you get full salary and do research.
Right.
And I did that. The first research that I did right after I read her book was AI, artificial intelligence. And what was it? A simple concept of using left brain information and presenting it in a visual context, like the right brain. And Charles Schwab looked at it, and they used that for their clients. Show them, instead of showing them numbers, they show them in the form of balloons and graphs and stuff like that. They could understand what's happening with their portfolio. Anyway, so that is very powerful.
It is. Just reading some of the research I've done. Once again, the Surgeon General said that there are more adults struggling with loneliness than have diabetes.
Really?
Yes.
Then diabetes?
Than diabetes.
For one.
But loneliness, I mean, diabetes, you can see. I mean, there are numbers you can look at with blood sugar and things like that, but you can't do that with loneliness.
But I have a feeling that, like I was saying earlier, loneliness, diabetes, depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, all those are
obesity.
All of them are together. They feed each other. And a lot of people who are obese is caused by a lot of those other things we are talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. 4 years ago, the British government appointed a minister of loneliness to address the growing concerns among the public. One town set up happy to chat benches.
Oh my God.
Happy to chat with signs reading, "Sit here if you don't mind someone stopping to say hello." And now that model has gone around England and to Canada and Poland. But it hasn't come here. It hasn't come here.
Well, we have benches everywhere in this town also.
This is the bench.
Is that the bench?
The mobile phone.
Yeah.
No, it's
but they have mobile phones in Europe.
If you have
what I'm saying,
you need the bench.
Analogously, it is the bench. People use the mobile phone for their social interaction.
I know, but where's the face-to-face interaction?
That's the problem. Here is, you'll get a little kick out of this one, okay?
Okay.
In the morning, Braden and bunch of guys sit around a table at Aroma di Roma.
Okay. That's a coffee shop, everybody.
Yeah. So have you ever seen them sit around?
I have seen them sit around.
Braden. I said, Braden, how come nobody's talking to each other on this table? He said, we are communicating electronically. They're looking
and they're sitting at
they're looking at their phone sitting at the table. Can you believe that? Unbelievable. So this is the problem.
Yeah. Steffi, do you have friends that you do have face-to-face interaction with, or is everything done via phone?
We meet up probably twice a month, and there's no phones when we hang out. So
And isn't that nice?
yeah, it's nice. Other than that, I have this big group text which currently has 30 messages
Oh
on
my
it.
gosh.
Just from since we started here. So
30 messages already?
yeah.
Oh my
That's
God.
gonna keep her busy the rest of the day.
Yeah.
So, everybody things that we've talked about is all these problems.
Right.
But we haven't talked about any solutions.
Well-
and I'm with for JoyScore,
There is
yes.
no. There is another solution. In fact, a few weeks ago, if you may remember, there was a research done by Harvard University's psychology department, which talks about that the happiest people in the world are the ones who are connected, who are not lonely. Because you need some, old days, people used to hang out, talk, meet friends,
Right.
go out for dinner.
Right.
Nobody does that anymore. And benches, my God, what a beautiful idea. I didn't know that. But to me, that is unbelievably successful concept.
Absolutely.
You know,
Sit down and talk to somebody you don't know.
and I got to tell you this, though. Have you ever been to Santa Barbara State Street?
I have, yes.
See, there are a lot of benches there, right?
I don't remember, but I'll tell.
A lot
I'll,
of benches.
I'll trust you.
And let me tell you something else, which would be interesting to know. And every bench is occupied by a homeless person.
Okay.
Most of them.
All right.
Meaning, I said, that's interesting. And I said, why does Santa Barbara Street have more homeless people than any place else I have been? It's because of those benches.
Hmm.
So that shoots that idea in a way, but I think I'm taking a wrong example. I think
I know,
benches-
because you wouldn't expect people to sit down and talk
right
to a homeless
But
person.
I think the idea is valid that if there are benches and places for people to sit down and chat is absolutely beautiful.
Do you know what really is great? These podcasts. I always leave feeling like really happy because we've communicated and the phones are down, and it really has a great effect on my week. And when we don't have a podcast, it just is kind of blah.
Oh,
So
So
you like these podcasts?
I love them. Yeah.
Oh my God! See, we have someone who likes them.
yeah. We have one like. That is good. So here's a possible solution. For years, people thought the best thing you could do for a lonely person is to give them support.
Uh-huh.
Actually, we found that it's about receiving and also giving back. But we know that.
Yeah.
We've talked about that so many times. So the best thing you can do for someone who is lonely is not to give them help, but ask them for help.
Oh,
Ask them for help. You have a problem, you go to them, and maybe they have a solution for you to
or
the
just say,
issue.
hey, I got this thing. Can you help me? You know that the act of kindness or helping someone brings you a lot of joy.
Absolutely. Yeah, it says right
So-
here,
so you
regular
kind
practice of gratitude.
Yeah, you kind of spreading the joy by asking someone to help you